Hi, this is Joe with another episode of the Level Up Your Gym podcast. And today I'm joined by Chris. Now, this is an interesting one. While you're listening to these, they kind of go out every single week. But I'm a big fan of batched activities. So I recorded 40 of these in a row in 1 week. And that's been all the ones you've been listening to, except this one. Chris touched base and we're like, hey, let's get on a podcast. I thought he was coming on mine. He thought I was going on his. And then I just strong-armed him into doing the Level Up one instead. So we're going to get an episode with Chris for this podcast, and then we can talk more on his later. So Chris, welcome to the show.
Joe, I appreciate you having me, man. Yeah, thanks for getting me on.
Oh, my pleasure. Because part of it is that I know Chris from a mastermind I'm in out of New Jersey. That's a high-quality one. Our paths have crossed over the years. And Chris had mentioned following some of the stuff we had done before. So, Chris, I'll let you give a background. How did our paths kind of cross over the years? And then we'll get into some tips for the gym owners that are listening.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I first stumbled upon you, Joe, I think through probably Joe DeFranco. But anyways, probably saw a couple of your YouTube videos way back in the day. Had the bull strength and conditioning manual. Right. And so, I remember you guys kind of in the basement of your gym, and you guys were, lifting a bunch of heavy weight and getting after it with the athletes and stuff. And so that's how I initially kind of got drawn into you, and then just, started following you ever since then. And, obviously we're friends on social media and stuff. And then, with the mastermind as well.
It's weird. I got one of those Facebook memories today from 12 years ago. And this is stuff we used to do to learn how to lift and how to do things in the industry. Is that we had an opportunity to go work out in Columbus, Ohio, because a friend of mine, Jim Smith, was speaking at a seminar out there, and I was just riding his coattails hard. So I was like, yeah, you can come with me. He had a 2-door, I think, Pontiac Sunfire or something. So 4 of us load into it. We drive out there. It takes about 8.5 hours. We got out of the car. We got to squat at West Side Barbell with Louie. And then in the next morning we get up and we got out of the car and literally walked at the parking lot and walked in after an 8.5 hour car ride to squat at West Side for a couple hours. And then the next morning we went and trained at Pilger, who does Pilger Fight Academy, does boxing out there with Rob Pilger. And that afternoon, Smitty was presenting the seminar, and afterwards, like, hey, you guys want to stay and squat? We're like, yeah, we can't turn down this opportunity. So we squatted again the next day with the guys from Elite FTS, and we got back in the car, had a stuffed crust meat lover pizza from Pizza Hut on the lap, and drove 8.5 hours home. My legs hurt for 6 months. But that was the stuff we used to do back in the day to learn from people in the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's man, I couldn't imagine, squatting at West Side and then Elite FTS and having to go sit in a car for 8 hours.
Yeah, but that was a wild weekend. But that's the kind of stuff where we picked up a lot of information on the way. And I know you've been picking up a lot of information as I've watched your business grow, Chris. So tell us a little bit about APE. You call it APE Strength and Conditioning, right? Or I know APE Fitness Team is the website.
Yeah, APE Fitness and Performance now. Yeah, so we kind of rebranded about 1.5 years ago. Used to be APE Strength, but yeah, APE Fitness and Performance now.
So tell us about how you got started and where you're at today.
Yeah, so I got started probably like a lot of gym owners. Played sports growing up, basketball, football, baseball. If you're anywhat familiar with how things are in Texas, sports are pretty much everything. It's a big deal. So I went to one of the top high schools, probably in the country, South Lake Carroll. Played football there. We won two state championships. And then went on to play 1.5 years in college at the University of North Texas. So sports and just training in general has always been a huge part of my life. And so that's kind of how I initially got into training and realized all right, I want to give back to other people and help them, be successful on and off the field as well. And so then kind of started training people, and it slowly has evolved over the years, and now we're in a 6,000 square foot building, and we train primarily athletes and then also as adults as well.
So you have a lot of beautiful books on your shelf. I don't see Bull Strength on there, but I don't think there was a print edition ever from that created. So you have a lot of knowledge, and like I said, we've been in the different mastermind circles of business growth. So from your growth and finding your first members to where you are today in the 6,000 square feet, what's one tip that we can pass on to business people that you picked up, Chris?
Yeah, I would say, I think number one is kind of understanding that it's you're on your own unique journey, right? Like you don't know everything, and you don't have to know everything starting out. And I think a lot of times, we see we're comparing ourselves to other people who have been doing things a lot longer, right? You've been doing this a little longer than me, Joe. So we kind of look to other people and see what they've built, over a long period of time, and we're like, man, I want that. And it's I think it's good. I mean, it's definitely good to have those aspirations, but at the same time, we need to be kind of realistic about where we are in our own journey, and understanding that this is part of our own unique process, and we're going to figure things out kind of as we go, I think. So
It's similar to a lot of conversations we have with members at a lot of the facilities, where they see someone who's gotten great results from working out, and they just like, hey, I wish I was that person. And we have to talk them down from the ledge and say, it's you today versus you yesterday comparison. Are you fitter than you were yesterday? Yes or no? And that's the only comparison. Or is your business stronger than it was yesterday? Was it better than it was last week? Was it better than it was in 2020, 2019? If you can answer yes to that, you're moving in the right direction versus comparing yourself to someone who's been doing it for 12, 15 years.
yeah, absolutely. Well, what do they say? Comparison is the thief of joy, right? So, if we're comparing ourselves to someone else, a lot of times we're going to probably feel, bad about where we're at. And that's, I think that's partly good, because that's going to, continue to fuel us and keep us motivated to keep pushing. But at the same time, we need to understand, this is our own journey. And, it's just about kind of getting 1% better each and every day.
So let's get one more tip from the marketing side, Chris. Where did you get your members from?
So we've gotten majority of our members primarily from word of mouth. So yeah, we've just we've built up a solid reputation, and that's I'd probably say 75 to 80% of our members are coming from word of mouth, referrals and stuff like that.
So I always preach on this, that you can do word of mouth, but you have to have a strategy behind it, or it's not scalable. And you hinted at having referrals in your referral strategy. When do you ask for them, or you just open your doors and hope and pray for the best, and all those books are just collecting dust on your shelves?
Yeah. So I like to, when someone first signs up, right? That's a great time to ask for a referral, right? So we do that, and then we'll have like some give the gift of fitness, some other things just kind of throughout the year. We're sending letters in the mail to their house, and including like a 2-week trial gift card, something like that they can give to friends, to kind of further incentivize them, to get people in the door.
Perfect. So I wanted to make sure we had differentiation between, hey, just do good and hope people show up, versus actively promoting that. So I think you're doing a good job with that. I want to make sure the listeners understand. I like the mail them something send them something in the mail. When do you send it?
So we normally do it around Christmas time. And then we'll just I'll put it in like a couple other times throughout the year. But generally, the one that we've had the most success with is around Christmas. So we'll call it Give the Gift of Fitness. And, I normally, put in like a 30-day, free jumpstart kind of thing. That way there's no, the offer is too good to pass up. Right. Things that I've learned from you. But yeah, so that's been the biggest one for us, is, typically around like a holiday season.
Awesome. So how many staff people do you have?
So I have two other coaches.
How do you keep the system the same? Because we have a lot of people that are listening to this podcast who are at that level where they're moving from doing it all themselves to having a coach. And then they'll go through the mental struggle that we all go through. What if our members don't like them? Or what if I have to jump back in? Or what if this person doesn't do as good of a job as I think that I do? And what I usually see is they'll hire someone, they'll wait for that person to screw up and then swoop in and be like, I told you so. They need me. And kind of like mother hen their gym so hard. It's so hard to go from 0 to 1 trainer. And then after that, you're like, wow, I wish I had taken this mindset earlier. But how did you get yourself up to 2? And how do you get over those hurdles?
Yeah. So one of the kids actually started out. He went to a local college, and he had just graduated, popped in, looking for a job. He played college baseball. So yeah, he did a 6-week internship with us, and then we hired him after that. Our other coach she'll be leaving here in about a month. So she's actually going to the Air Force to fly fighter jets. And she's actually just been a client with us for probably about 8 to 10 years now. So, she's already kind of familiar with the system, but, I think for us is just, it's having an exercise database, I think, and being on the same page as far as like how you categorize exercises, what you call things, because, getting other coaches and you just let them kind of go with it. Right. I mean, you might call it, a dumbbell. Let's take for like an example, like a half kneeling dumbbell overhead press, right? If you get 3 people, they might call it 3 different things, right? So you got to kind of get the terminology down. And I think creating, like a coaching system, whether that's, keeping it simple, 5 or 6 page little Google Doc where you kind of outline like how you categorize and the terminology that you guys use on the floor and with your exercises. I think that'll kind of go a long way in helping with that.
It makes a lot of sense. You have to have a common language, and that's something we integrate into our interview process. We have them write down exercise programs for sample scenarios to see if I've been shocked before. The people with 4-year degree, I got one that was a standing bench press and then a barbell pull-up. Chris, what do you think a standing bench press is?
A standing bench press.
That's what I said. That's kind of an oxymoron, but
yeah, I want to go like just an overhead press, but
you're correct. That's what I mean. After 4 years of exercise science, that's what he was calling a military press. And what about a shoulder pull-up?
A shoulder pull-up. I got no idea on that one.
It's a shrug. I was like, can you demonstrate it? Because I was baffled. I'm like, maybe I'm the dumb one here. And it's like, you pull up your shoulders, dumb. And like, I get it. And I'm not giving anyone a hard time who's just getting into the field. But this is a 4-year degree from a local university, and we have to make sure we're speaking the common language. And if they can't name the basic exercise, I didn't think we'd get much further down the path. So you have to have a good interview process to kind of weed out the quality of people that you're looking for, the quality of trainer, I should say, not a person. So that's a good one, Chris. And what are you going to do to refill it when she leaves?
So I'm about to put out a job ad here at the beginning of March. So yeah, she's been primarily helping us out in the morning. So she's 6:30 to 9, part-time job. So yeah, I'll put out a couple posts on or a post on Indeed, and then probably like a Facebook post. And yeah, I feel like I'm still fairly new, with the hiring process, Joe. So, I'm still, every interview, I'm always learning and, looking back and saying, okay, what could I have done better? And then whatever I come up with, I'm going to apply that to the next interview that I do.
We kind of cruise by something important that you do, which is the 6-week internship. We do a 90-day on-the-job training. I like that clarity and expectation giving to the candidate that once you complete this on-the-job training or internship, then you can have the opportunity to become a full-time hire. So there's the if you complete it, and we outline exactly what it is. We test our people, written test every week for 90 days. Trainer's handbook, floor stuff, body language protocol that we have in our handbook, member interactions, how to do our billing system. Like they get tested on all of that before they get hired after 90 days. And it helps create space, because I was teaching a different person on a consult call yesterday because he's always worried, like, hey, I hire someone, I put them on the floor, they don't do a good job. Yes, no kidding. They need some time to learn your exact protocol and procedures. And they don't really get taught that before unless they have a lot of experience. And I prefer, honestly, people without a lot of experience, because I want them to teach our systems. Now, I want them to know the exercises, but we'll do our 90-day on-the-job training. We'll say, here's your wage. Once you graduate, it'll get raised to X. So we have it a little bit lower up front. So they get the carrot to complete it. They get a checklist of things to complete during the 90 days, how to onboard a client. They have to be able to put them into the system, run a session, train an athlete, do a check-in with our operations person, go over a brand sheet with a marketing person. So they have to go and do these tasks like a roadmap. And once they complete it all, they graduate from that program, and then they can become trainers. That works out great from our side, that we don't have the pressure of throwing them on the floor right away because they're getting compensated a little less. And the expectation is, hey, you're going to be here to learn for a while. And expectations, if you graduate, you get paid X. So we're very clear on that up front. We make sure all of the essential tasks are covered before they step on the floor. It makes a lot of sense for them because they're not getting thrown into the deep end. And it means a lot to your members to see them with you in the room for 2 or 3 months, become comfortable, and you slowly phase out versus here's the new trainer. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I like the idea that you have the 6 week. I'm not saying I'm married to the 90 days. That's just how long our process takes because we want to hire someone for the long term. We'll take a little bit more time up front. But if it was a part-timer, then maybe it'd be shorter as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like they're, I feel like 90 days is a while. Do you feel like they're eager to just get into things, or do they kind of understand, obviously you guys are probably upfront with the process and everything like that, but are they like eager to, all right, I'm ready to go by that time?
Yeah. So they are slowly getting integrated into being ready to go. The first day, we usually have them attend a busy session, observe, and meet and greet is their only jobs. And then they leave it like, wow, I don't know how I'm going to do this. It's almost overwhelming to the stuff that a trainer can do in our system where they're training 20 people on personal programs without missing a beat and without a whiteboard. And it looks overwhelming. So then they're like, all right, I need this on the job training. They get the buy-in and they understand the process and the procedures. But throughout those weeks, they get to train people. It's, the head coach on the floor will write a program and say, here, guide this one member through this program just so you can feel comfortable. So the new hire is not coming up with everything, him or herself. And then it's like, all right, you write a bunch of programs, and then we'll find someone that fits for it, even though we don't like to fit the member to the program. We will at the beginning a little bit. We'll touch it up. So then they're writing a bunch of programs. They have a notebook full of programs, and then we'll apply them to the members. Then we'll say, all right, we'll step back. You run the session, you train the programs, and we'll just work with some new people on warm-ups, and then we slowly phase off the floor. So it's all happening during the 90 days. They get to train people based on those weekly accomplishments.
Okay, gotcha. That makes sense.
But it helps a lot. It helps so much. It used to be such a nightmare thinking, oh, I've got to hire someone again, because people are to come and go. The more you grow, and as your company grows, Chris, and I'm sure it will, you have to hire a lot. Like once or twice a year, you can anticipate it.
Yeah. That's good stuff. I'm definitely going to take a couple of those things and implement it.
So here's my last question for you. I want you to turn around and look at all those beautiful books you have. Pick one off the shelf. Tell us how you've used it in your gym so we can leave it as a recommendation.
Oh, man. Okay. I'm going to go with yeah, Joe, and by the way, I haven't read all these, so
yeah, they're just decoration. I learned.
It's partly decoration, but partly, So I'm gonna go with Keith Ferrazzi, Never Eat Alone. And what I've taken from this book, if you have a gym, if you're interacting with people on a daily basis, we're in the R&R industry, right? Results or relationships and results, right? And I think people buy people, and building a solid relationship with someone up front will kind of take care of a lot of things, on the back end. I think you'll find that you get more buy-in into the programs. And it's kind of what I feel differentiates us from other places, is because I want to build a community. I want this place to feel, or my gym to feel like, a family atmosphere, right? I mean, they're coming here for 1 hour out of the day. I want them to have the best experiences possible. And that's kind of what I took from that book, is just, I really want to focus on building a relationship with someone, and not just being not just necessarily being a trainer. Like, I want to know about their family. I want to know what they do, and really like kind of dive into more of a personal side of it versus just the X's and O's, if that makes sense.
It makes a ton of sense. Relationships are so critical. And this was also in How to Win Friends and Influence People. Maybe now, where you take successful people out to eat and you just listen to them. And I took that to heart early on, and it's helped us a ton in our business. From there was one kid who tended the gym. His dad was the CFO of the bank in town. And he's like, yeah, I'll go out to dinner with you. Nice guy. I was nobody. Still am a nobody, but I was especially a nobody then. But he took his time. We went out to dinner. And he never eat alone, just building relationships. And then a year down the road, he was instrumental in helping us get a commercial loan. We're doing another build out on our third facility by that point, and just smoothing through the process. And he's like, yeah, no one ever asked me out to eat. This guy's like a CFO of a bank. He's like, people just assume we'll say no. I'm like, well, I'm glad it worked out. And he's still, 10 years later, we still stay in touch. He's retired now, and he was a professor of business and all this great accomplishments. And there's just such generous people out there that if you build a relationship with them, you can learn a ton.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chris, what's your Instagram so people can check out more about you?
My personal Instagram is C Brainard 87. So yeah, that's BRAIN ARD 87. And then my gym's Instagram is APE Fitness Team. So yeah, you can check us out on there.
All right, very cool. Now sit tight, Chris. I'm going to do the sign off and stop recording. So I want to thank the listeners of the Level Up Your Gym podcast, and to remind them that we have a lot of free resources for gym owners right at levelupyourgym.com.